This isn't gonna work well.
It's fun.
In today's video, I'm going to show you how I took some store-bought Dioecious trees and turned them into orange trees using a regular guy technique. Also going to show you how I planted a hero tree to give a little extra dimension to the scene, and also we're going to take a brief look at how I'm lighting up the orchard packing shed. Hi, I'm Steve Brown and welcome to It's My Railroad. On this channel, we make the highest quality modeling videos we possibly can, showing you how to use regular guy techniques to make scenes just like this one. So if you're into that sort of thing, make sure and subscribe, and then don't forget to push that little bell icon so you can catch future videos. Well, welcome back to the Dowlings Orchard diorama right here on my model railroad. It may not look like a whole lot got done again, but I have to tell you, a lot did get done. It's just kind of obscure. It took a while to get the fruit trees set up the way we want them. And I'm going to show you how I did that. And then I planted this hero tree for some extra effect. I'm going to tell you why I did that. And then at the end, we might take a look at the LED lighting you see in the orchard packing shed right now. It's totally awesome. But first things first, let's move over to the hobby table and get to work on those fruit trees. So let's get going on making some fruit trees for the orchard, because an orchard without fruit trees is not an orchard. It's just a flat spot on my railroad. We're going to use these Woodland Scenics, Woodland Classics trees to make our fruit trees out of. And here's why. I really like the shape of them. I think they look pretty fruit tree-ish if you pull down a little bit on it and sort of make it kind of hang a little bit. It seems to look okay. I used a bunch of these on the old BSR back at the other place as fruit trees, but I never put any fruit on them. And I just like the way they look sitting in an orchard. So we're going to do that. But to put the fruit on them, you know, you can buy fruit on the internet to put on trees to make fruit trees, and that's cool. And if that's what you've done, more power to you. But in my case, I seem to think the fruit looks almost the size of like a human head in scale. It's big fruit. It'd be like this, you know, melons growing on my fruit trees, and that doesn't work for me. I have a different vision in mind, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to paint some fruit on the trees. I'm going to use this Folk Art acrylic orange paint and put it on the tree. I got this at Hobby Lobby, by the way. And I also bought these at Hobby Lobby. These are some like totally small micro brushes. And my intention is to dip the brush in the paint and then tap it sort of to the underside of the fruit trees and see if just putting that color on there makes it look enough like there's fruit on the tree. Now, I've never done this before, so you're going to find out when I do if this actually works. So let me get the camera over here closer and let's get to work on it. Well, you know, in my humble opinion, that doesn't look half bad. The orange isn't so bright it's overpowering, but you can clearly see little dots of orange in there, and I would call that an orange tree. Now, understand, there's gonna be a whole bunch of these planted in a cluster back there, so what we need is the representation of color back there, not actually to fool anyone into thinking there's an orange growing on this tree. So I think some of these are gonna turn out a little better than others. I'll put those towards the front. The rest we'll just put in the back. So I've got a total of 32 of these to paint. So I'm going to get on that, get them painted, and then let's go plant them over in the orchard. So the oranges are painted onto the trees, and it doesn't look half bad. But to tell you the truth, the paint dried a little darker than I was hoping. Still looks like there's oranges on there, but it's not as pop as it used to be. I'm going to see if we can make it work by adding a little more color after these trees are installed on the layout. Something else I need to keep in mind is that this orchard is underway. They've already harvested it once and put those in crates, and they've shipped the oranges off to Switch Junction. So there's gonna be oranges on the tree that weren't necessarily ready to be picked back when they first went through, so it can be a little sparse. You know, we've got some flexibility there, and again, it's my railroad, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now what I wanna do is plant those trees up here in the orchard. Now, one of the things you haven't seen me do yet, and we're going to roll back a little bit here, is before I put all this ground cover in, I took my ruler and I made a grid that the orchard was going to be planted in. If you've seen a real orchard, you know, everything's in rows. It's not just random trees growing everywhere. So I did that. But after the first go around, I decided the trees were too close together for two reasons. One, they were just too close together. But two, it would require like a lot more trees. And a set of 8 of those is like $9.99 at Hobby Lobby in California. So we had to sort of minimize that impact a little bit. So I spread the trees out a little bit further. After I drew in the grid, I drilled some little holes in there, and then I poked pins down, as you've seen me do elsewhere when we're going to plant trees after the fact. So I've got all these little pins in here right now, just ready to go. So what we're going to end up doing is taking one of these little trees, and I'm going to pop it off the little base it's on with holding it with needle nose pliers, dip it in some glue, and I'm going to stuff it down in one of those holes, starting in the back and working my way forward. So again, bring the camera a little closer and let's just see how that part of it goes. Well, there's my orchard all planted. Basically, it's trees in a row with oranges on them. Makes an orchard. To tell you the truth though, I'm not really happy with the final color on some of those. I think some of them need more oranges, as it were. So I'm gonna let that glue dry, and then I'm gonna come back in and touch it up a little bit until I get it to where I like it. But now what I wanna do is keep working on some of the scenery stuff by introducing something new that's gonna go right here. This is just a parkway kind of thing. It's a lawn right next to the orchard packing shed that is kind of boring right here in the front. So I think what I want to do is I want to plant some really bold, big trees here that basically were planted generations ago and have been an icon for this orchard since antiquity, since back in the day, since Columbus discovered the United States of America. So I've got some old trees that I was using on the BSR. I really like the way they look, but I think they need a little bit of a rehab. So let's go back to the hobby table. Let's rehab those trees and then let's plant them right here. Okay, so I made an attempt to rehab one of those trees, and I gotta tell you, it looks terrible. So we're skipping that. We're just gonna put them in the way they are. And the first one I'm gonna put right here. Now I've got this drill bit in my hand, and it's my intention to get this right about where I want it, and then just start turning it until it gets down through all the ground cover. Now you could use a drill to do this, right? But a drill's speed, I think, is gonna throw the plaster and the styrofoam all over the place, and I don't need to go very deep. Well, there you go. Just enough to get the base in there, like that. And I got this brush right here that I can just sort of clean it up with a little bit. Look, there's a hole in the earth. Put material with a bunch of white glue on the bottom of it. Stick it down in that hole. Like that. Sort of position it the way I think I want it. I don't know. Nature doesn't always do things the way we want it exactly. But as long as it's straight, at least as straight as nature would have it, there it is. I got a massive icon tree right there for Downling's Orchard. So I'm going to go through now. I'm going to plant this one and then this one, and then I got a little special treatment we're going to do to the grass. You know, as I look at this, I know I just drilled those holes, but 3 of those is too much, frankly. So which one's got to go? I think this one's too close to this little narrow patch. I think that kind of is right in the middle and kind of on a little hill. I think we're going to pull this one out. And we're going to pull this one out. And then we have to deal with the wreckage. Well, let's see. Perhaps a little bit of green stuff on there. Yeah, I got some holes there now. Son of a gun. Of course, what'd you expect, Steve? You had drilled holes. I'm gonna pack that green stuff in there. Like that. That's what we're gonna do. Boom. Now nobody can even tell. That's what I'm talking about, people. Well, that's how I put all that together, and net effect looks amazing in my humble opinion. You saw a couple of bumps here and there, but you know, that's the kind of stuff you see on this channel. We don't just show you the good stuff, we show you all the stuff. Now, I think we got enough time. I want to show you very quickly what's under the hood over here at the orchard packing shed. All right, since we were together the last time, I went ahead and put this roof piece on here, but I'm gonna cover it with more stuff later. This is just what we have for now, so we have something to test the lighting on. And let me show you what's under the hood. If I just turn the lights off real quick, so I don't blind anybody. Then when I lift it up, this is a strip of LEDs in here, the kind like you find underneath a countertop or something like that. That's aluminum foil used as a reflector and some yellow highlighter on there to get sort of the white light to look a little bit more yellowy, a little more incandescent. And I think it came out really nice. And we'll give you more on that next week on It's My Railroad. But thank you for joining me this week. I sure hope you had a good time watching the video. I had a great time making it. And until next time, my name is Steve Brown. Rail on, my friends.